Most bands need 5 people to fill a stage, some need 8. One band on this list filled stadiums, sold 50 million records, and held the Guinness World Record for the longest-running, unchanged lineup in rock history, with the exact same 3 guys for nearly 5 decades. No replacements, no excuses, just 3. And they are not even the most legendary trio. We are counting down the 10 most legendary power trios rock has ever produced. And the one song that made each of them impossible to ignore. 3 people, 1 guitar, 1 bass, 1 drum kit, and sounds that engineers said were physically impossible. Number 10, You Blue Cheer Summertime.
No cure for the summertime blues.
1968 San Francisco, 1966. The whole city was wearing flowers, peace signs on every wall. The summer of love was in full bloom. 3 men looked at all of it and chose violence. Dickie Peterson,
To make some money.
Paul Whaley. They named themselves after a strain of LSD. Before they played a single note, that name already told you everything. They stacked amplifiers floor to ceiling. Audiences reported ringing ears that lasted for days, not hours. Days. When they walked into the studio to record their debut album, the volume they played at physically blew out the studio speakers mid-session. Engineers stopped everything, repaired the equipment, and started again. That wreckage, Vincebus Eruptum, January 1968, is now recognized as one of the founding documents of heavy metal. Recorded at a time when heavy metal did not even have a name yet, their best-selling song was a cover, Eddie Cochran's cheerful 1958 rock and roll complaint, Summertime Blues. Blue Cheer buried it in distortion and feedback and turned it into something that sounded like a building collapsing in slow motion. It peaked at number 14 on the Billboard Hot 100. That crushing wall of destruction was playing on mainstream American radio, between pop songs. And people couldn't turn it off. Punk, grunge, doom metal, stoner rock. Every single one counts. They received almost none of the credit. 3 men who walked into a studio, blew up the speakers, and accidentally built the foundation that half of rock history would stand on. Where were you the first time a guitar hit you so hard it felt dangerous? Number 9. Taste / Rory Gallagher, Same Old Story. 70 Cork, Ireland, 1966. Rory Gallagher was 20 years old. He walked into a shop and bought the cheapest guitar available, a second-hand Fender Stratocaster with a worn, chipped finish. He bought it because it was all he could afford. He never replaced it. He played that same battered guitar for the rest of his life. Now here is where the story shifts. In 1968, just 2 years after Taste formed, Eric Clapton was organizing the farewell concerts of Cream at the Royal Albert Hall, the most anticipated shows in British rock history. Every musician in the country wanted to be on that stage. Clapton personally requested Taste to open those shows. A 22-year-old Irishman with a worn-out second-hand guitar, hand-picked by the man people lived next to on walls across London. 2 years later, Taste played the Isle of Wight Festival alongside Jimi Hendrix, The Who, and The Doors. Director Murray Lerner arrived planning to film Hendrix. When Taste took the stage, Lerner couldn't stop his camera. That footage became one of the most celebrated pieces of concert film in rock history. Not because anyone planned it, because stopping the camera would have felt like a crime. Rory Gallagher died June 14, 1995. When his funeral took place in Cork, the streets were lined for miles. A city stood still for a man who played a worn-out second-hand guitar and created something the world still hasn't equaled. Most people have never heard his name. That changes today. Number 8. Triumph Magic Power. 1981, Toronto. 1975, Rick Emmett, Mike Levine, Gil Moore, 3 Canadians with one shared obsession. They wanted to be enormous, and then they quietly went and proved it while most of the world looked the other way. Here is what separated Triumph from every other trio on this list. All 3 were operating well above their assigned roles. Emmett was a classically trained guitarist who could write arena-filling hard rock riffs in the same session. Moore drummed and sang lead vocals with genuine power, something almost no rock drummer in history has managed credibly. Levine played bass while simultaneously running keyboards, filling the harmonic space most power trios left completely empty. Magic Power, 1980. A song that moved between hard rock muscle and genuine melodic beauty so naturally it made both feel effortless. In Canada, Triumph was massive, gold records, arena-filling legends. In America, significant. In Europe, almost entirely unknown. Too sophisticated for the metal crowd, not fashionable enough for the critics. They built their legacy city by city, show by show, in places that were paying attention. Simply missed one of the finest rock trios their generation ever produced. Go listen to Magic Power tonight and ask yourself why nobody ever told you about this band. The answer says more about the music industry than it does about Triumph. Number 7, Motorhead Ace of Spades. 1975. Lemmy Kilmister got fired from Hawkwind after being arrested at a Canadian border crossing. Officers thought he was carrying cocaine. Charges were dropped when it turned out to be amphetamines. Hawkwind had already cut him loose. The distinction no longer mattered. Most people at 30, with no band and an arrest record, would reconsider their direction. Lemmy formed Motorhead the same year. He didn't play bass the way bassists play bass. He ran it through guitar amplifiers, cranked until it distorted, cutting through everything above it rather than sitting underneath. Fast Eddie Clarke played with focused aggression that made Phil Taylor hit drums with a force that seemed to exceed what human biology should allow. Too raw for metal, too heavy for punk, too rock and roll for anyone to contain. Now here is the detail Lemmy himself confirmed in a published Mojo magazine interview, and nobody talks about this. For 2 full years after Ace of Spades was released, while it was on radio stations across the entire world, Lemmy was singing the 8 of Spades in the chorus, the wrong card, in his own song for 24 consecutive caught it, not the band, not the label, not the fans. When Lemmy died, December 28th, 2015, fans pushed Ace of Spades back onto the UK charts. It re-entered 2 positions higher than its original 1980 peak. 35 years after release, the man was gone. The song was still climbing. That is Motorhead. Before the top 6, 3 things I need to plant in. Still ahead on this list, a song written in 30 minutes at Ian Fleming's actual writing desk in Jamaica that became officially the most played piece of music in the entire history of radio. A power trio with no guitarist that somehow sounded like a full orchestra. And at number 1, the guitarist who made Eric Clapton go again. The man who rewrote the rules so completely that the person who wrote a song spent 50 years playing someone else's version of it, because that version was simply better. Don't go anywhere.
Before we continue, can I ask you for a small favor? There's something I honestly don't understand. Only about 10% of the people who watch Nostalgia Rock YT are actually subscribed. That means more than 90% of viewers enjoy the videos, listen to the music, relive the memories, and then leave without subscribing. And if I'm being honest, that can be a little heartbreaking, because these videos don't just appear. Every upload takes hours of research, fact-checking, script writing, editing, and preserving the stories behind the music we all love. We do all of that because these songs deserve to be remembered. So when thousands of people watch and enjoy the content, but only a few take a second to subscribe, it sometimes feels like the work is being appreciated, but the people behind it are being forgotten. If this channel has ever helped you rediscover a song, relive a memory, or simply made your day a little better, please take 1 second to subscribe. It's completely free, but it's the biggest way you can support what we do. Every subscription encourages us to keep going, keep creating, and keep preserving the music that means so much to all of us. Thank you for being here. Now, let's get back to the music.
Number 6, The Police Every Breath You Take, 1983.
Every single day.
Three musicians from completely different worlds who discovered that friction between strong identities creates something far more powerful than harmony ever could. Stuart Copeland, son of a CIA officer raised in Beirut, rhythmic instincts built from jazz, rock, and Arabic music. Sting, jazz bassist and former schoolteacher from Newcastle, with a voice unlike anything on British radio, Andy Summers. The oldest by over a decade, experienced enough to know exactly what not to play. And that restraint made everything more powerful. By 1983, Sting's marriage had collapsed. He retreated to Jamaica, to Ian Fleming's GoldenEye estate, the same desk where the creator of James Bond had written his novels. In the middle of the night, a line arrived fully formed. Every breath you take, every move you make, I'll be watching you. He went to the piano. The entire song was finished in 30 minutes. He went back to bed. Andy Summers recorded his guitar part in one take. 8 weeks at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. 2 Grammys, and in 2019, BMI officially certified Every Breath You Take as the most played song in the entire history of radio. 30 minutes, a dead man's desk.
Every single day.
Heard piece of music ever made. Now here is what most people still don't know. Sting has spent 40 years telling the world what that song actually is. Not a love song, he has called it nasty, evil. A stalker's cold internal monologue dressed in a ballad's clothing. The world heard romance and played it at
Every night you stay, I'll be watching you.
Sting heard something dark and has never stopped saying so. Was this song playing at a moment in your life you once thought was romantic until you really listened to the words? Number 5, ZZ Top Lagrange, 1973. Houston, Texas, 1969. Billy Gibbons had just finished touring as the opening act for the Jimi Hendrix Experience. Night after night, side of stage, close enough to watch Hendrix's hands, absorbing every detail of what the most gifted guitarist alive was doing with 6 strings. He came out of those nights knowing exactly what he wanted to build. He found Dusty Hill, a Dallas bassist with a voice as deep and unhurried as Texas heat. Then Frank Beard, a drummer whose groove was so locked it sounded almost mechanical until you listened closely enough to realize it was breathing. 3 Texans. Same blues records, same bar circuit, same iron conviction. Simplicity executed with total mastery beats. Complexity executed adequately. Every single time. What people consistently underestimate about ZZ Top is the identity discipline. He arrived in the 80s and image suddenly mattered more than music. ZZ Top made 3 of the most visually distinctive videos in the channel's history, on spinning cars, fur-covered guitars, matching sunglasses, while playing the exact same blues shuffle they'd played since 1969. They didn't change to fit the era, they made the era come to them. Lagrange never cracked the top 40. It became one of the most recognizable guitar riffs in the history of music. 15 albums, 50 million records. The Guinness World Record for the longest-running unchanged lineup in rock history. Dusty Hill passed in 2021 and left specific instructions. His guitar technician should take his place on stage. The band followed his wishes without a single hesitation. 3 people, 50 years. One covenant that outlasted almost everything else in rock music. Number 4, Emerson, Lake and Palmer Lucky Man.
white lace.
1970. No guitarist, just keyboards, bass, drums, and voice, attempting music of near symphonic complexity. It should not have worked. It worked completely. Keith Emerson came from The Nice, notorious for stabbing his Hammond organ with knives on stage. Greg Lake came from King Crimson. Carl Palmer came from Atomic Rooster, regarded as one of Britain's most technically gifted drummers.
On which he was led.
3 musicians at the absolute ceiling of their individual abilities, choosing to build something together. Now here's the story behind their best-selling song, and almost nobody knows this. Greg Lake wrote Lucky Man when he was 12 years old. With the very first 4 chords his mother ever taught him, D, a minor, E minor, G. He carried that song in his memory for years without ever writing it down. When ELP needed one more track to complete their debut album, Lake played it almost apologetically.
On which he was led.
Emerson was skeptical. Then Emerson sat down at his brand new Moog synthesizer and started experimenting while the tape happened to be running. Nobody told him the tape was rolling. What came out of that accidental session became the iconic synthesizer solo that closes the song, one of the earliest uses of the Moog in rock history. Captured entirely by accident. A 12-year-old's first song.
A gold-covered mattress.
An accidental Moog recording. 48 million records sold. 3 people who proved that removing the guitar entirely and replacing it with complete commitment from everyone remaining doesn't create a smaller sound. It creates a different kind of enormous. Number 3. Rush Tom Sawyer, 1980. Toronto, 1974. Alex Lifeson, Geddy Lee. And the drummer who changed everything, Neil Peart. Peart was not just a drummer, he was a reader. Obsessively, constantly carrying books everywhere, science fiction, philosophy, history, mythology, processing all of it. And the only outlet large enough to hold it was the lyrics he wrote for Rush. Ideas about individualism, free will, the tension between who you actually are and who the world insists you be. Millions of people had been carrying those ideas their entire lives without ever finding a rock band willing to say them out loud. Rush became 3 people producing what should have required 10. Lee played melodically complex bass lines while operating synthesizers with his feet and singing vocals most professional singers couldn't reach. Lifeson carved harmonic space, typically requiring multiple players. Peart built drum parts so architectural that his kit functioned as a compositional instrument rather than a time-keeping device. Tom Sawyer began as a poem sent to Peart by Canadian poet Pi Dubois. Peart rewrote it completely. The line, "No, his mind is not for rent," to any god or government, was not abstract. That was Peart's own private philosophy stated in 8 words for millions of people to finally hear. Neil Peart died January 7th, 2020. The 3-person Rush ended permanently. Morning. Over 400 million streams of Tom Sawyer alone, more than double any other song in their catalog. 3 people who had no right to sound that large, and sounded that large anyway. Number 2. Cream Sunshine of Your Love. In London, 1966. 3 men who had no business being in the same room formed a band and permanently changed rock music in the 2 years before they destroyed each other. Eric Clapton was all Someone spray-painted "Clapton is God" on a wall in Islington. It stayed there for years. That is not marketing. That is what people genuinely believed. Ginger Baker and Jack Bruce genuinely hated each other. Physical confrontation sustained mutual contempt that neither man ever bothered to disguise. When Baker proposed the trio and agreed to bring Bruce in, all 3 understood the terms. The music could be extraordinary, and everything surrounding it would be war. They made that agreement with open eyes. musical equality that rock had never seen before. Bruce's bass lines were as melodically complex as Clapton's guitar. Baker's drumming was as expressive as the vocals. 3 independent voices in constant conversation. Jazz logic inside rock architecture. Nobody had done it at this level before. Nobody has done it since. In January 1967, Bruce and Clapton attended a Jimi Hendrix concert at the Savile Theatre in London. What Hendrix did...
I'm with you, my love.
Bruce so immediately that he went home and wrote a bass riff as a direct tribute. He and lyricist Pete Brown stayed up through the entire night. When the sun came up, Brown looked out the window and said, "It's getting near dawn." That sentence became the opening line of Sunshine of Your Love. Ginger Baker never received a songwriting credit on that song. He believed his contribution was substantial.
I'm with you, my love.
He died in 2019, carrying that wound for over 50 years. When Hendrix heard Cream was disbanding, he played Sunshine of Your Love on live British television as a farewell tribute, completely unaware that he was the reason the song existed in the first place. The man who inspired the riff. Playing the riff as a goodbye, never knowing the connection. Cream lasted 2 years, 2 years that the following 50 couldn't surpass. Number 1, the Jimi Hendrix Experience. All Along the Watchtower, 1968, Seattle, 1942. James Marshall Hendrix taught himself guitar on a 1-string ukulele he found in the trash, absorbing blues records by Muddy Waters and B.B. King on his father's record player. No lessons, no money, just music and the absolute need to understand it. By his early 20s, he was an invisible session musician in New York, kept deliberately in the background by artists who privately knew the man behind them was more gifted than the person standing at the microphone. In 1966, Chas Chandler watched Hendrix play one set in a New York club and flew him to London immediately. Within weeks, Hendrix sat in with Cream at a club performance. Eric Clapton, the man London called God, watched him play and walked off stage in genuine shock. Clapton later said that night made him seriously question whether he should continue playing music at all. The best guitarist in Britain watched Hendrix for one night, considered walking away forever. That is the ceiling this man operated at. Chandler assembled the experience with Noel Redding on bass and Mitch Mitchell on drums, a jazz-trained player whose improvisational instincts matched Hendrix's unpredictable genius perfectly. Together, they sounded simultaneously composed and completely alive. Their best-selling song is a cover. All Along the Watchtower was Bob Dylan's song. Hendrix heard it, took it into built it so completely, created a guitar architecture so definitive that Dylan himself said, "It overwhelmed me." Dylan began performing Hendrix's arrangement in 1974. He has never returned to his own original version. The man who wrote the song has spent 50 years playing someone else's interpretation. Because that interpretation was simply better than his own, 3 studio albums, less than 4 years as a recording artist. Every electric guitar you have heard since that morning, every distorted riff, every wah-wah cry, every note bent past where it was supposed to go, is an answer to what he started and never got to finish. That is the unfinished revolution. That is number 1. 10 trios, 10 stories, 10 proofs that 3 people with enough talent, enough trust, and sometimes enough genuine hatred to push each other past everything comfortable. That entire orchestras spend lifetimes trying to replicate. From 3 men who blew up their studio speakers and accidentally invented heavy metal, to a worn-out Irishman with a second-hand guitar that the man called God personally chose to open his final shows, to 30 minutes at a James Bond author's desk in Jamaica that produced the most played song in radio history, to a bassist who went home from a concert and wrote a riff inspired by the one guitarist who would never know he was the reason it existed. These are the real stories. Underneath the songs you have been hearing your whole life, the ones nobody tells you, and now you will never hear those songs the same way again. Which power trio on this list do you think history treated most unfairly? Drop it in the comments right now. I read every single one. Your answer helps build what comes next. And if this gave you something you didn't have before you clicked play, subscribe. Because next time, we are going inside the stories behind 10 rock albums that sound completely different once you know what was happening in the room when they were recorded. Stories that make the music hit harder. Stories that nobody tells you. I will see you there.